What's possible for you? Can you change what's possible for you? Can you change the meaning of possibility? I like to look at possibility from as many perspectives as possible because I believe that when you really get down to it, that this concept, as well as the experience of what's possible, it really governs what you can do in your life. All right, so let's take this apart a little bit. All right, so we asked the question, what's possible? So what is the word possible? And how is the word possible different from the concept of possible? Well, the word possible, it's this term that we use to kind of describe maybe something that hasn't happened yet or something we haven't done yet, but maybe that we could do. All right, so let's take this word apart a little bit more here. So the etymology of the word possible, if we really look into it here, way back, in the past, it meant to be able. It was about ability, which ability is also related to power. So that's kind of interesting. But if you talk to different people about what's possible and you say, hey, what's possible for you? Or what is possible in general, or what's possible for all of us, you'll get a few different types of answers. So some people, when they answer what's possible, what they'll do is they'll look at what they've experienced in their own life in the past. Okay, so they'll just look back at their life experience and they'll think about, well, here are the things I've done or here are the things that I've seen. And so that's what's possible. So for some people, when you ask what's possible, they don't go into their past and think about what they've experienced. They don't look out into the world and think about what other people have achieved. They just go into their mind and they ask, well, what would I like to create if I could start from scratch? Right? So these people are a little bit more, let's say, visionary in their sense of possibility. Now, I've been interested in what's possible for a long time, and I've also been interested in creativity and power and all of these kind of abstract concepts, but that really come home and make a difference in your life when you start working with them and developing them. And I believe that if you can, let's say, work on not just what's possible for you, but also on developing your sense of possibility and your kind of mastery of possibility, that you can really get much bigger results in your life. Werner Erhard, who created the EST program and the Landmark Forum, you've probably heard of these, he has this great saying. He says that we put our past in our future. Okay, so we look back at our past to kind of make sense of what the future could be. W. Edwards Deming talked about driving a car while looking in the rear view mirror, right? Buckminster Fuller talked about this as well. My mentor, Jerry Ballinger, he likened life to a canvas that we're painting. And he said, most people are going along and they're painting the canvas of their life, but what they're doing is they're looking back at what they've already painted, right, to figure out what to paint next. So they're kind of painting it this way while looking at their past. And he said, you can turn around and look the other direction and just see that there's a blank canvas there and you could paint anything that you want. Okay. So why don't we expand our senses of what's possible in life? Why don't we do this? Well, there are risks involved, right? If you expand your sense of what's possible and then you don't achieve it, you might have to experience disappointment. I mean, I know that sometimes when I start to get my hopes up about things, I then start to feel a little fear like, oh, wow, what if I get my hopes up and I believe in this thing and then it doesn't happen? We also have to be careful because, we have all these cognitive biases and we have confirmation bias and, we have all these ownership biases and things. And if we get too identified, if we get too much into an idea and we believe that something's going to happen, or we invest in a business or in a person or in a stock or in a crypto or something like this, and we get totally convinced this is going to work, it's going to change my life, everything's going to be okay after that. Well, if we invest everything in it and then it fails, we don't just, we're not just disappointed, we also threw away all our money. And so we also have to be careful with this because if we take too much risk and we take risk. I mean, some people you've seen over the last several years and decades, as people get involved in bigger and bigger operations and bigger schemes and scams, sometimes you see thousands of people, or even more, lose everything because they put too much faith. They believed in someone else's possibility a little bit too much. So when we're expanding our sense of what's possible, we also need to do it in kind of a rational way. Okay, one more idea here I want to put out there is, what is meta possible? Okay, what's meta possible? In other words, maybe another way I could say it is, what's possible when you change your definition of what possible even means itself, if you go all the way down to the root level of it here. So from now on, when you're imagining what you want to do with your life in the future, when you're thinking about what you want to do with your health, right? When you're thinking about what you want to do with your energy level and your fitness and how long you want to live, when you're thinking about your relationships and what you want for your friends, your family, for your love life, when you're thinking about what you want for yourself in business and with money and financially, what you want for yourself in terms of your own learning and growth and evolution and your spiritual development, let's try to take a few different perspectives on possibility. Yes, let's look back into the past of our lives, but let's look back and ask, what were our peak experiences here? When did we reach something where it was really a new level for us? And when did we prove to ourselves that we could go beyond? When we look out at others who have achieved to get a sense of what's possible, let's look at those that, not just those that have achieved something, but those that have achieved something and also have a good life, right? So we're not just looking at people that sacrificed their whole life to get one little narrow win. And also, when we start looking at what's possible, let's let go of all that stuff. Let's just kind of mentally release it and let it fly away. And let's ask, what would be possible in pure creative visionary space? What could I just imagine could be possible that there's no evidence right now that anything like this could happen? But maybe it is possible. Let's just go and let's dream. Let's really expand our sense into imagination space. And by practicing with possibility and then really looking at it from multiple perspectives and then coming back and experimenting with it, I think that we can achieve a lot more in life. I think that most of us can 10x or 100x our results. And I think that a lot of it comes down to just expanding our own sense of what possibility means and how it works.